Hey Emma,
Yes, Madelyn.
what would you call it if at night you had a vision of taking stuff from the junkyard, building a car, and taking it on a spin around the track?
What would I call it?
Trash Dream Racing! Hello, and welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
It wasn't really a joke, I know.
it was fine. It rhymed.
Wow. Harsh.
That's all you
It
really
rhymed.
need for a pun. Some rhyming.
It rhymed was the highest praise you could give me. It rhymed.
That's what I figured.
Welcome. We're very excited about this week's full episode because for once it features games that we've played.
Yeah. Wow. What a fresh and new concept.
I know. It's rare on Talk This that we actually discuss games with which we have first-hand experience.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah. Madelyn's a whole generation behind. It's not her fault.
Yeah, it isn't my fault. There's all these games coming out and it's like, I would love to play this, but guess I can't.
Yeah.
Why isn't it compatible with the PS4? More importantly, why isn't the PS4 backwards compatible with every game that's ever been made for the PlayStation?
Reasons.
I know it's complicated and you have to have it run an emulator and it's a lot of work. But if it was going to be able to run all of the PS3 games that I already have, I would consider upgrading.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no, I wouldn't. I have a lot of stuff to pay for this summer. But, yeah.
She would consider hinting about it in her conversations with people who might give it to her as a present.
Oh, that's true. My birthday is coming up, Talk This fans. If all the listeners of Talk This want to band together for the good of the podcast and buy Madelyn a PS4, I don't know. I'd open a mysterious package that was PS4 size that came to my door.
Please don't do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, not you listeners. I will not open mysterious packages, but listeners.
Yeah.
Please do feel free to contribute to my PS4 fund.
And then Madelyn will call the bomb squad to just to make sure when she opens it.
That's rude and not inaccurate. Anyway, speaking of backwards compatibility, this week's games, again, we're very excited. We've actually played them. Our old game is probably the game that I was thinking about this. It's have I spent more time playing this game than any other game in, history that I've ever played?
Probably.
Maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, our old game is the classic Crash Team Racing of the Crash Bandicoot series.
Mm-hmm.
And our new game, Emma's gonna say for me so I can get it right for the rest of the episode.
The new game is Danganronpa V3.
Danganronpa. I don't know why I have such a hard time with this.
You just have to sing it to yourself. Danganronpa.
Oh, I didn't even do the right tune.
That was a nice little cheery tune for it.
Thanks.
Danganronpa.
I was trying to give it a nice bright spin.
Uh-huh.
So, I didn't do any research on Crash Team Racing because I feel like I've been doing research my whole life. I've been preparing. Crash Team Racing is probably legitimately the game that I have the earliest memories of playing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember anything before that. And I really think we played it on the original PlayStation.
Yeah, I'm for sure we did.
PlayStation 1. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess of course we did because it's a PlayStation 1 game. But, yeah. So Crash Team Racing, if you haven't heard of it, it's a spin-off of the very popular Crash Bandicoot series, which... Did the reboot come out recently, or is the reboot coming out?
It came out recently.
Okay, so it was recently rebooted, but they haven't rebooted Crash Team Racing yet. Well, they have, but not, we'll talk about this. The other Crash Racing game that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely.
It's Nitro Racing. I don't even know what it's called. It's so inferior. I shouldn't even give you the name just in case you're tempted to get it.
Oh, Crash Nitro Kart.
Thank you, Crash Nitro Kart. Forget that, people. Crash Team Racing is a spin-off of the popular Crash Bandicoot series. Crash Bandicoot, about a Bandicoot named Crash, and all of his friends and his enemies, namely the yellow-skinned Jimmy Neutron lookalike Neocortex.
Yep.
He's got the big head, right?
Yep.
And Tiny the Tiger and Dingodile and all these classic characters who put aside their differences, sort of, to settle them on the track. Crash Team Racing is, in my opinion, the greatest racing game of all time. Why are you laughing? I'm not even really joking. I'm like 20% joking.
I know, that's why it's funny. We don't play a lot of racing games, so...
Find me a racing game that's better than Crash Team Racing.
There's a challenge for you listeners.
Find it. Don't tell me Burnout. Burnout, I get it. I get where you're coming from. But especially since they've taken away the multiplayer element in later installments, like Burnout Paradise, are they taking away No, they did. There was no multiplayer, really, and there's no crash mode. So, like, what's even the point?
But then the crash mode is an extra thing on top of it. It's not part of its identity as a racing game.
That's fine. And, like, I don't know. They've just...
It's like the battle mode in Crash Team Racing.
Sure, but the battle mode in Crash Team Racing is super fun, too.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that, like, as a racing game, you should judge the racing elements.
Anyway, Crash Team Racing, you play as classic Crash Bandicoot characters, who race in go-karts. Right? They're like go-karts, yeah?
Yeah, they're like go-karts.
Yeah, we're not having animals drive cars, right? Like, you can only suspend your disbelief so far.
I mean, they're car-like go-karts. They're pretty extreme go-karts.
Okay, yes, they're very souped-up go-karts, but still, we can imagine this. We can allow that animals can drive go-karts, but a full-on car, that would be too much, I think.
Okay.
Too much.
Okay.
Anyway, you can play as classic Crash Bandicoot characters who have different balances in terms of speed and turning ability and acceleration, whatever the heck that means. Never quite understood that one.
Well, it means, like, when you stop, how fast do you get back to
I know,
speed?
and I know it's about your boosts and stuff. I know. It was a joke, Emma.
Basically, the turning characters are trash, and don't play as them.
Yeah, you should maximize your speed, if at all possible.
Yeah.
We'll be giving you tips on how to play this game, gleaned from... When do you think we got this game? Like, when I was, like, 5?
It came out in 1999.
So, sounds about right then. So gleaned from, how old am I now? 18 years, basically, almost. Something like 18 years of playing experience on this game.
I'm glad you had to think about how old you are.
Well, we're coming up on the birthday.
That's true.
And the other day, I got asked in a job interview how old I was the other day, and I just wanted to yell at them. I thought about why. Well, I did lie. I told them that I was 23. When I'm, in fact, not yet. But
yeah,
anyway.
but, you know.
Anyway, I'm, like, so excited to talk about this game, and I'm not talking about it. So, in the story mode, Nitrous Oxide, who's, like, an alien from outer space, who races, of course, in, like, a little alien go-kart, like a little spaceship, instead of a human or an animal go-kart. He's come to Earth, and he's threatened he's going to destroy the planet unless... someone's a better racer than him. Which I've never really described this plot out loud to anyone
Normal,
before.
sane villain behavior.
Right, like how dumb is that? And in the story mode, you like have to drive around and beat all sorts of challenges, right?
Yeah, his officers.
They're not called his officers, but yes.
His subordinates.
I don't know.
The children of nitrous oxide.
Komodo Joe, Papu Papu, who is by far my... Like, is Papu Papu...
The worst?
No, he's my favorite character to play as. But, like, is that bad?
I don't know.
Is Papu Papu a little bit too much of like, a racist stereotype?
I don't know.
He's a very large... he's not, like, fat exactly.
I don't know what culture they draw the masks from either.
Oh yeah. So if you haven't played Crash Bandicoot, you won't be aware that we have like, and they don't play nearly as large a role in this game as they do in other games, right? But we have good characters and we have evil characters, and they have like these mask spirit protectors. Mm-hmm. You'll see a lot of them if you play Crash Bash.
If you look at our website, I think there's a photo.
There's a
Madelyn
photo of me as Uka Uka.
As Uka Uka.
Shout out to Dad for making that for me. Uka Uka is the evil mask, and Aku Aku is the good mask. And in this game, they really only serve, they're like a power-up. They're like an invincibility power-up. Mm-hmm. And they give you annoying tips.
And they say, Ugabala.
Arugala.
Arugala. They're really into you eating vegetables.
It's not good when we've played the games, because, like, we don't give the audience any in.
We said, what? It's a racing game with Crash Bandicoot characters.
I know, but we're just like, Arula, Arula. And they're like, what the heck is going on? Anyway. So you have to, like, beat all of his officers. Komodo Joe, Papu Papu, who's, like, a very large Indian man. I'm sorry, I described it as Indian, which I just played into the racism element. Native Bandicootian man.
Yeah, where does this take place?
I don't know. Pinstripe, who's like a ferret.
Ferret.
See, I hadn't really ever thought of him as being a ferret, but he's definitely a ferret. And the one that laughs, Ripperoo.
What's the last? Oh, what's that one again?
Ripperoo.
One of them is like super annoying in the story mode, and I can't remember which one it is.
The one that just like squeaks and laughs. It's Ripperoo.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, you have to beat the 4 bosses, then you defeat Oxide, and there's all sorts of racing challenges to like unlock new levels and that kind of thing. They have like a time trial where you're competing for relics, and they have the CTR tokens, which really are one of those things where it's like having the strategy guide as a kid was really helpful.
Yeah. Did we have a Crash Team Racing strategy guide?
I mean, I don't believe we do anymore, but I'm pretty sure that we did.
Wow.
They were just a thing that you got. Like, they weren't, we had a whole side quest debating the merits of using strategy guides. Like,
yeah, I mean, I know that they were a whole thing, but it seems weird that we had one for Crash Team Racing.
We were little.
All games.
I don't know. We had a lot of strategy guides. I don't have any memory of ever being around as we purchased these.
I only remember the Kingdom Hearts one. I don't remember any of the other ones we have.
I remember that one. I think we had the Legend of, like, for the Game Boy Color, Oracle Ages, Oracle of Seasons. I think we had that strategy guide. I don't know. I remember reading things that helped me through these games, and this was not at a time where I would have done that on the internet. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah, came from somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway. So Crash Team Racing, you have all these racing games. Most importantly, in the mode that we've played the most, you have a baller multiplayer. 4-player multiplayer. Plug in that multi-tap, people.
Yes, because back then you had wired controllers.
Yes. It was great.
Not the wires so much as the 4-player multiplayer.
Yes. This is why this game is superior to Burnout.
There you go.
Not that, Burnout did used to have that kind of multiplayer and doesn't anymore. Anyway. So 4-player multiplayer, we would bring it to the beach, like, every summer, play a ton of Crash Team Racing. I have it on my PS3, because you can buy it from the PS Store, so if we're selling you on this game right now, which, we better be, you can play it on the PlayStation 3. I don't know if you can do it on the PlayStation 4, but you can on the PlayStation 3.
I'm not sure either. I haven't looked for it.
Sometimes I play it with Clickbait Boyfriend, and I crush him every time.
Yeah.
He has played this game a couple times over the past 4 years, and I have played it my entire life.
Yeah. I was in a weird situation as the younger sister since I always played with Madelyn and my dad. And so my dad obviously had many more years of experience than I did, and Madelyn always had about 2 more years, which when you're like 5 and 7 or 7 and 9, like that's a lot. Like now the difference isn't so substantial, right? But like in the developmental phases, Madelyn always had 2 more years of video game experience than me, so I sucked in comparison.
You gotta,
really
so,
sucked.
Pro tip number 2, because number 1 was don't ever pick the turning characters.
Yeah.
Unless you suck at the game. Like, the turning characters, if you're really bad at the game, might bump you up from, like, last place to 4th place.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you'll get that point on the leaderboard in the arcade mode. But, like, you gotta go for the speed characters if you're planning to win.
Yeah.
But tip number 2, y'all gotta learn to power slide.
Spam the power slide.
I am the queen of power sliding. If you don't know what power sliding is, it's where you drift your go-kart and you hit the... I can't remember. It's such muscle memory when I do it. I think it's the R1 button.
Yeah, I think it is. It's also something else, though, because you're, like, braking and doing it.
Yeah, it's like you hold the R1 button to do the slide, and then maybe it's, like, L1?
I don't remember.
That sounds right to me. But, like, you chain these boosts, and then you get a big boost.
Yeah.
So, pro tip 2, power slide. Pro tip 3, get all of the Wumpa fruit. What is Wumpa fruit, you say? How dare you ask me that? They look kind of like peaches. If you get 10 of them, your power-ups get better. I feel like this is a Mario Kart thing, too. Anyone who says Mario Kart is better than this, I don't know if I've ever played Mario Kart.
I suck at Mario Kart.
Isn't it the exact same as Crash Team Racing?
I don't know, really, because the buttons are all... I think it's mostly, like...
The buttons are messed up.
The buttons are weird. Like, I have a Switch, and I've had a 3DS, but I'm more used to the PlayStation controller setup than the Nintendo controller setup. Plus, I think I've mostly... Like, I've played Mario Kart a little bit before, but mostly I played it last summer when I was working at the game camp on the Switch, and I just played it on one of the Switch controllers. You know, the little the half that is the one, and it's more difficult on that.
Good excuse, Emma.
Plus, I was up against, like, high schoolers who probably played Mario Kart every day, all day.
If someone wants to make an argument for why Mario Kart is better than Crash Team Racing, I would ask that you had played both games.
Yeah.
Because I need you to be able to, because I can't compare.
But Rainbow Road is stupid, and I hate everybody who has ever picked it. And that's just fact.
Nice.
It's like the whatever the one in the sky is in Crash Team Racing. That one's also stupid.
Yes, Hot Air Skyway.
Yeah. I just hate things where you're, like, levitating.
Let's see. Other pro tips.
Hold down the X button.
Yeah, hold down the X button to go. That's an important pro tip. Let's see. What else have I gleaned from my many years? You can shoot bombs backwards.
Yeah.
They probably still won't hit.
Yeah, bombs suck.
And you can throw potions forwards.
Yeah.
That sometimes does work. Let's see. You can't unlock nitrous oxide no matter how hard you try, no matter how many people tell you there's a way to do it. You can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
There is, however, a secret, and I learned about this because at some point I read about it on TV Tropes, which I haven't been on in a while, and maybe I should go on because I don't have work to do. There is, like, a secret penguin character.
Penguin?
It's called, like Penga Penguin.
Penga Penguin?
It's not what it's called. I'm going to look it up right now. CTR Penguin. Cheat.
Is it a cheat, or do you unlock it somehow?
It's called Penta Penguin.
Penta Penguin?
Yeah, and you can do, like, a cheat code to get it. It's, like, coded in, but they, like, didn't make it...
Common knowledge?
Well, I think they just, like, decided not to do it.
Oh, I see. So, like, a character that they left into the code but didn't actually implement into the game.
Yeah. Penta Penguin is from, like, another Crash Team Racing game. but they didn't want to, like, they didn't mean to put him into this game. They decided not to.
Well, probably they tried to put him in and then decided they had enough characters but didn't take the code out.
Yeah.
Games do that sometimes.
In the North American version, he's kind of unfinished. He is available, I think, in the Europe version, but in the North American version, it's like he's protected by Aku Aku, but Uka Uka shows up when you get the item, and like his penguin sounds like aren't recorded. He just says penguin yay one.
Wow, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah. And the other character that you can unlock, and we never did, was Entropy.
Right.
Who's the guy you race against in, like, just the time trial mode. And that was like, wow, apparently his full name is Dr. Nefarious Trophy, according to Crashopedia, Bandopedia.
Oh, Bandopedia. Nice.
Who knew?
Now we do. Now you do.
But yeah, this was during that, like, early gaming time where you had to have, like, 20 different game modes. So there's also a battle mode where you, like, compete to kill each other.
Yeah. I usually like that one better.
It does take a little more strategy than just, like, power sliding your way to oblivion.
Yeah. I feel like it felt better to lose in that one, too, than it is to just, like, always be in 5th.
Mm-hmm.
But that probably says more about my gaming personality than it does, like, about whether it's a good racing game or not. I like to pretend that I could make a comeback. But if you get to a certain point, and I think in any racing game where you're just in 5th and you're on the final lap, it's like, oh, well, I'm in 5th.
This game has provided one of sort of our most enduring, like, video game quotables, I feel like. In addition to our, like, arugula.
Yeah.
It's Neocortex's classic line, "The cup is mine!"
Yep. Top 10 video game lines.
Sometimes I do sort of still say it when I'm, like, getting myself a glass of something.
Just to yourself, quietly?
Just kind of to myself. Usually when I'm alone.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because that makes it better.
Might freak people out. Anyway, I cannot recommend a racing game, or very many other games anyway, more highly than I can Crash Team Racing. It's provided almost 2 decades of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And Aurora and Elena played it.
I think so.
See, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
They only have a PS3 too, so.
Yeah. And don't play Crash Nitro Kart, it is not the same.
Well, I saw that one was also on the Game Boy, which I thought was weird.
Oh, maybe that's not what I'm thinking of.
I mean, it's on the Game Boy and then a bunch of consoles.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah.
Well, what series, like, the only series that we write about on the blog, right, is, like, oh, started on the Game Boy, and then they remixed it for the...
Yeah, but there's a difference between, like, maybe it's a different version, but there's a difference between releasing at the same time on the Game Boy and PS2 and bringing a Game Boy game or to, like, the Switch or the PlayStation or something.
That is fair. Well, Emma, any final thoughts on Crash Team Racing?
I suck at it.
That's not true.
Last time I played it, we were doing, like, story mode because, like, I don't know, it was, like...
We had to unlock all the characters.
Had to unlock it. And I couldn't even win against, like, the computer gen.
Dang.
The AI.
Well, when you're here, or aka right now, because you're here now.
No, I'm not.
Well, almost. You're, like, en route.
Maybe.
Maybe.
En route to the train station, maybe.
Okay, don't ruin the magic, Emma.
Okay.
We'll have to all play it. Do I have 3 controllers? I don't think I do.
You should. It's mine.
Maybe we do. I don't know.
I had 3 controllers.
No, we do. You're right. Because we all played,
Zillia.
Yeah. So we'll have to play it for the blog.
There you go.
One thought on 1 hour.
This is fun. That's the only thing in the article. There's no extending arguments.
It's just we all try to type out what Harula sounds like.
Yeah. Is it an A or no?
Speaking of things I can't spell or pronounce, Danganronpa.
Yeah, V3.
V3.
That's our new game.
Emma, do you want to tell us about this game since you've not only played it, but devoted an entry in our amazing video series to it?
Sure. So, if you have yet to read my blog posts on the website, or
they're
yet
the most
to watch...
popular blogs posts on the website, by the way, so you've probably read them if you listen.
Or watch the Danganronpa V3 playlist that I made. The game is the third main game installment in the Danganronpa franchise, but is also sort of a soft reboot of the franchise, is what they called it. So it's like got similar lore, but is in a different setting, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, in Danganronpa, you play as one of 16 high school students who have been trapped in the school somewhere by a murderous robot bear named Monokuma. And each of you you're like special high school students, because of course you are. And you have an ultimate ability. In Japanese, it's literally like the super duper high school something is the literal translation. The localization went with ultimate, which I feel like is much better. But you're the ultimate something. So like ultimate swimmer, or ultimate photographer, or ultimate tennis pro, or ultimate yakuza, normal stuff like that. And you are trapped in this school to partake in a killing game, which the objective is to get out of this school and go back to the outside world. You have to kill a classmate and then get away with it in a subsequent trial that, like, it's like an Inquisition style thing where your classmates, like, discuss what's going on and try to figure out who the killer is. And if you get away with it, you get to leave and everybody else dies. And if you don't get away with it, you die and the killing game keeps going. That's a basic premise. So it's sort of a visual novel / adventure / point and click / weird shooter.
Yeah. If you were going to be an ultimate, like, if you were going to describe yourself as an ultimate something, what would you be?
Obviously, we're the ultimate podcasters.
Oh, dang. Wow.
No, we're really not.
I like it, though.
No, I'm not talented at anything enough to call myself an ultimate anything. But, I don't know what kind of ultimate I would want to be. That's just like asking, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Basically.
Well, you could have said you could have been a yakuza.
That's true. I could be the ultimate yakuza.
Then you could be in that blog. I can't get over that blog. See, they should have a very talented high schoolers review Danganronpa V3.
Yeah. The ultimate yakuza, who's from the second game, is actually, his design is somewhat based on one of the characters from the Yakuza series.
That's so funny. And Emma, I feel like you've already shared all of your thoughts about, literally, in our thoughts posts, about this game already.
But see, I haven't, though.
Oh, do tell.
Well, I mean, one of the things I didn't talk about, because I'm not an expert in it in any means, but I find some of the localization stuff really interesting, especially the debates people have about how the translation was translated and, like, how it changes the characters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I find most amusing is, like, they have, like, little profiles for the students that you can look at in your menus, so presumably you don't forget who anybody is.
Right.
Because there are a lot of characters. But they include, like, height and weight. Right? Because, I don't know, they do.
Yeah.
And it's already, like, nobody could be this tall and weigh this much and look like the drawing of the character. Like, it's just not physically possible.
Mm-hmm.
They're not drawn, like, they're skinny because they're anime characters, but they're not drawn, like, particularly strangely proportioned. But if you look at their weights and their heights, it's like, that seems wrong. But in the localization, they made each of the characters 2 inches taller because,
What?
Japanese people are shorter on average than Western people.
Okay.
So I guess they just thought it was weird that everybody was so short. So they made everybody 2 inches taller, but they didn't change the weight at all. And the weight to begin with was already a little bit off. So it just seems like they're all really anorexic.
Awkward. I mean, I wouldn't be eating much either if, like, everyone was killing my classmates, I guess.
Yeah, but just from the beginning, though, they were already that way.
Yikes.
Yeah. But I feel like especially, you see it a lot in this fandom, but I think there's a lot of, like, Japanese games that wander into this, but people get very upset over some of the translations, which when I look at, I'm like, well, it conveys the same thing. There's also a lot of upcry because they changed some of the spellings of the names. So, like, in Japanese, and like an OU or their equivalent is just O. It's just an O sound.
Mm-hmm.
But in the West, it would be like an ow sound. So to make it easier for people to, like, look at it and know how to say it, they got rid of the U's. So people, like, someone's named Oma, and it would be O-U-M-A, but instead in English, it's just O-M-A, which is like, well, I don't understand why people are bothered by this.
I know.
But,
it's a transliteration. I mean, in Japanese, it wouldn't be written out in, like, characters anyway. Like,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's just like if you... It might be a slightly different sound, but not enough to really mean anything, or it's like a different hiragana or something. I don't know. It's
a transliteration anyway. It's not like I'm taking, like, something that's already written in, like, our alphabet and changing it.
Yeah.
It's not like they're French names and I'm changing them to, like, Americanize the way it's spelled so the pronunciation is the same.
Yeah.
It's literally not even the same system. So, like, get over yourself.
It's not like Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
It's also interesting, and again, this is stuff that, like, doesn't have to do with the game specifically, but I always find with anime and games that are from Japan, there's always the, like, Japanese voices versus English voices debate, which usually I find kind of stupid. Like, the anime I watch, I usually watch in sub, but that's usually not because of, like, voice actors, but because sometimes I think that the meaning gets across clearer when I can read it on the screen anyway. But people really, like, take crap on English voice actors sometimes, which I find silly.
It's like, you don't think these people can read the same lines?
Yeah, I mean, there is something, like how it's interesting because it's like 2 different actors playing a character, right? It's like if you go to a play that has one cast and then a play that has another cast. So I do see that sort of interesting part to it of, like, how a person interprets the character and preferring one over the other. So it is interesting in that way. And you can, like, listening to the different voices, you can sort of see the different personalities traits that they emphasized in certain characters. But I mean, I don't know, they're both interesting. I think the English voice actors in this did a really great job, especially compared to some voice actors that are out there. And I always feel like with Japanese, I'm like, well, this sounds good to me, but how do I know?
Yeah, it's
the sentence structure is entirely different.
They could be emphasizing random words, and I would not know. Well, fascinating. What is it with Japan and making games about high schoolers?
I don't know.
I just feel like
the target market is mostly high school.
I guess, but is that not true here?
No, I would say no, it's not true here.
Who's the target market in America? Like 30-year-old single dudes?
Yeah. I mean, not necessarily single, but at this point, yeah, that's what a lot of gamers have aged into. But especially with this style of game, like anime style game, the target market is younger, I would say.
Is there a Danganronpa anime?
Yes, it's really awful. Both of them. There's an anime adaptation of the first game that's really awful, and then there's what is actually the third installment in the series is an anime, which is like parts of it are good, and then it sort of goes full not great. I didn't watch it. I just sort of looked at it, and it's pretty disappointing how they chose to portray certain things. But, clearly the creator of the series is better at making games than he is at making anime.
Oh, did the same person make both of them?
At least, I think so. I think Kodaka is the writer on all of these.
Well, that's bad. It's not the same skill set at all.
Yeah, but I mean, it is a direct continuation, and it is his baby.
Okay,
I guess,
so concept by
to a certain extent. Yeah.
I'll admit, this game kind of goes over my head. There's too much going on. There's like 20 different gameplay elements. It sounds very fun, but it's like, how do I juggle all of this?
It's not hard to understand once you're actually playing it, I would say. It's hard to put into words. And even like when you're looking at the tutorials that they give you, especially since Mr. Tutorial Man is like has like a personality, which I think is funny. But they're not very clear, but then once you're actually trying it, it's not hard to get. I mean, the actual gameplay only takes place in trials. The other stuff is just talking to people and sort of walking around and clicking on things. So, like, the main part of the gameplay is the trials. And once you get a look at it, it's not hard to understand.
I just feel like Danganronpa is already a mashup. It's like if you took Phoenix Wright and, like, combined some kind of, like, shooter, right?
Mm.
Like, not like an intense shooter, like Borderlands, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then also combined, like, the Nancy Drew computer games.
Mm-hmm. I do like it. There is a lot of similarities between this and Phoenix Wright, but I do like the trial sections in this better than in Phoenix Wright. They're just more active and fun. Plus, like, this and I would say if you're looking at like UI design and graphic design in games, you should look at this and at Persona.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think those are the best examples of that in recent years to look at, because this one, like, it's really stylish, especially even compared to the other games, because it's stylish. But you can tell that they actually had a budget on this one. Like, they were like, wow, we have money. Let's use the money. The other games, like, clearly they just had no money.
But nobody says objection, do they? I feel like that's a point in Phoenix Wright's favor.
No, you don't say objection, you say, no, that's wrong.
That's lame.
What? No, that's great.
It's so much lamer than objection, though.
But it's not. It's great.
I'm just saying, me being like, no, that's wrong.
No, you have to say it with more conviction than that. No, that's wrong!
See, it's the difference between the Japanese and the English voice actors right here.
Then there's also, I agree, and got it. There's like one that's like when you're laying out the full case. It's like, this is everything that happened in this order. Or something like that.
Dang. Danganronpa.
Yeah. That's, yeah, pretty much. Danganronpa.
So, like, again, this is already a game that feels like a game we created as a mashup. Right? Tell me I'm wrong. How are we gonna mash it up?
You stick them in go-karts, obviously.
Yeah, it's like battle mode and Crash Team Racing, except it's like they're in high school.
Although there is, like, the mini games are really stupid in all the Danganronpa games, but there's this one called Psyche Taxi in Danganronpa V3, where you, like, go into your mind and, like, drive a taxi.
Oh, was this featured in your video? I feel like this was in your video.
Yeah, and it just said, don't think about it too much. So you collect letter cubes so like the question gets there, and then you're like, and then it goes thinking time, and you have to answer the question, but usually they're like really obvious. But you like run into a person and they get into your car. It's super weird.
I do often feel like I think this way, yes.
But I just like to imagine like the player character just like sitting there with their eyes closed, and people are like, Shuichi, Shuichi. He's like, stop it. I'm driving my taxi. I'm driving my mind taxi. It's like the Mind Palace, except it's a mind taxi.
Right, yeah. Okay,
so it's that, except you're racing against each other.
But that's like a tiny answer. That's first. A tiny mini game. It has to be more integrated than that.
It's not integrated into the Danganronpa game. It's you literally take that mode and insert a competitive element where you're all in cars and you're trying to figure out like a riddle or something. And so you have to go and compete to get the letter cubes. And then at the end, once you have all the letter cubes, you get to answer the question.
No, I have a better idea. So it's like you're these high schoolers and you've been like taken away. Except instead of like killing each other, like however they kill each other in the game, it's like a Ben-Hur. It's Ben-Hur where there's like that chariot scene, right?
Yes.
Where the like it's got like the knife chariot.
Sure. There's a chariot scene in Ben-Hur. I could not tell you what specific chariot was in it because I've not seen the movie. This is Ben-Hur.
It could be a different movie, but I think it's Ben-Hur, where it's like one of the like a lot of the chariots like fall apart. You're like death chariots. So they're go-karts. Obviously, we're not mashing up Ben-Hur. What do you think I am, crazy? So instead of like it culminates in a race where it's like you're all like hidden in you're in go-karts but no one can see who you are. You've got like the speed racer helmets. And like somebody kills somebody else in the race and you have to figure out who committed vehicular manslaughter.
While racing?
Yeah, I mean you have to win too. If you lose, you're killed. And also sometimes people get killed in the race.
It seems complicated.
Shut up. It seemed like a better idea when I was thinking about it.
I was with you for a while, and then you mentioned the speed racer helmets, and I was like, I think I'm off. But
you all have special skills in your go-karts.
Oh, okay.
Right, like you're the ultimate power slider.
So that person wins every single freaking time.
The ultimate turner.
Basically. And that person dies first.
Immediately. The ultimate blue orb thing.
Blue orb thing?
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
The blue orb that you shoot.
The blue shells? That's Mario Kart.
No, you have like we have the electric thing that tracks.
Oh, the bubbles. You don't shoot them. They use their
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm
them.
not talking about the bubbles. I'm talking about the thing that you get. You don't get it when you're in first place. When you're not juiced up.
The happy sun. That's what it is.
Yes.
The happy electric sun.
It is like the blue shell, though. It's like the same idea.
Yeah, except if you're all the way powered up, it knocks down everyone. Everybody.
Somebody has that power, and they get taken out surprisingly soon because people know that that's a real threat. You have like a power-up that's like your power-up.
I like that idea. I think that the murder on the track still needs a little bit of work. Little bit of editing.
Okay, instead of there being a trial, there's like a race. And you have to use what you know about the culprit to win the race.
How does that work? You distract them with like chocolate? Because you know they like chocolate?
I don't know.
They're the ultimate stuffed animal collector.
You have to like put together a strategy.
Stuffed animals.
So, like, what happens is the person who comes in last is like eliminated, and you have to put together a strategy so that like the person that comes in last is the one that murdered the person. I don't know. It's not coming together.
Yeah. You're really trying, I can see you, but the glue is not holding.
Ben-Hur. Fine, what do you got?
I literally already laid out a perfectly reasonable
yeah, it was like
game.
Mind driving. Blah.
Yeah. Mind driving. But you add your specific affinity to it.
But if you can you drive in other people's minds?
You're not in a mind. It's just like you take the idea that you're driving and trying to answer questions, but you do it faster than other people.
What?
So like in it, you collect cubes that form a question, and then you answer the question, and then you move on to the next question. So you keep that format. You take it out of the mind. It just like is that. And then you add those special things that each character has, or their special talents. And then you race to see who can find the truth the fastest.
Where are the aliens and the Wumpa fruit?
The aliens sometimes come and scoop you up.
Ah!
I don't know. It turns out at the end you were in space all along.
Twist? Alright, I can accept it, I guess. Not thrilled about it, but I can accept it. I feel like
Whatever.
Crash Team Racing deserves better. What?
Whatever.
The cup is mine.
Nope. So the hats are like super, super far away, and I don't want to go get them.
Lazy.
So we're gonna do the lazy. Madelyn gives me a number, and I.
Are you ready, or do I need to plug social media while you load the site?
I am already ready.
All right.
But we do usually plug social media first, though, don't we?
Great. So I will plug our social media. Folks, if you haven't already done so, you should be following us on all of our social media channels. That came out a little bit aggressive. I apologize about that. You do have the choice of whether or not to follow us, but you should be.
You don't have a choice.
We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as Talk This Podcast. We're at Talk This Podcast on both Twitter and Instagram. We're Talk This, It's Dangerous, the podcast alone on Facebook.
Yeah, but you can just put / Talk This Podcast in the URL. That's why I usually say at Talk This Podcast on all of them.
Well, isn't
Fun facts.
that fancy? On our social media, we share dank memes. We share articles that we like. We share articles that we've written. And you can see those blog posts that we've written on our website, www.talkthispodcast.com. On the blog this week, maybe I've already finished it, but maybe I haven't. I'm doing a 15 Thoughts on 15 Hours Persona 5 blog.
Ooh.
I already have all the images in. I just have to... There are a lot of memes about Morgana.
Go to sleep.
I hadn't realized it was such a thing, but now
Go to sleep.
I needed a Morgana this week.
Aren't you tired? Aren't you tired?
That was Clickbait Boyfriend over text. He was like, you should go to bed. I'm like, there's no one to tell me to go to bed. Anyway.
Also coming up this week, I should have the next Play This up, which turns out it will be on Iconoclast after all.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
That's the real Iconoclast thing to do. To tell people it's not going to be, and then stick it to the man and do it anyway.
Heck yeah.
There'll also be, check out our YouTube channel. Speaking of, to see Emma's latest Play This video on Thursday. We're Talk This Sisters on YouTube. Was Talk This Podcast taken?
No, I think it just did Talk This Sisters because it wasn't a podcast.
Oh, that's wise, actually. So on there, you can check out Emma's Play This series, the Flashback Friday mini-episode series, and the Clickbait Boyfriend mini-vlogs, which somebody commented on just now. One of our subscribers. So that was cool. Clickbait Boyfriend's gonna be pleased.
Was it Clickbait Boyfriend himself?
I don't think so.
That's the real question.
They disagreed with Clickbait Boyfriend, so I don't think so. They were like, the Tron world is cool.
It is cool.
Well, Josh sort of doesn't agree.
Maybe it was me. Maybe I commented during this episode.
That would be weird. Anyway, follow us on YouTube. Check out our website. There'll be more blog content. Maybe we'll do a Crash Team Racing, thoughts blog. Or just, favorite Crash Team Racing moments and tips if we replay it. Who knows? I'm all about blog content.
Mm-hmm.
Are we anywhere else on the internet? Oh, Google Champ McDude. Just do it. Dominating SEO.
Yeah. We have prime SEO for the hot search trend, Champ McDude.
I'm thinking about making it my keyword for my Persona blog. Just to really, really hit it over the head. Yeah, I think that about routes of social media. Oh, you should subscribe to the podcast. Duh, as if you haven't already, but here we go. You should subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe? That's the right word. I'm doubting myself, but it is the right word.
No, subscribe.
On Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn. We're all over the internet. You can find all that info at www.talkthispodcast.com/episodes.
Yep.
And review. And comment. Rate us.
Yep.
Tell us we're stylish.
Yep. Stylish.
Alright, you want numbers?
Yep.
I'll give you numbers. Number 6.
Doing the old game first. Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, solid choice. Alright. And for the new game, number 15.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I thought I'd make it hard for you.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We'll be doing Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom.
Have you finished
Means
it?
I should get back to playing that.
This is an excuse for me to post those texts that you sent me.
I feel like you already read them at some point.
I did read them at some point, but for those of you who have not subscribed, I'll maybe post that on the Instagram. Anyway.
I've been neglecting my playthrough of Ni no Kuni 2 because I felt like I needed to finish Iconoclasts, and I didn't want to play Iconoclasts.
But now it's done.
Yes, now it's done. So I can go back to that.
Well, folks, next week we'll be back with another one of our side quests, which hopefully we'll actually get down to side quest length next week. Where we'll be talking about sort of a hodgepodge of video game topics, what we've been playing, what's up on the website, whether or not we think something's going to be announced or something's going to be good. I saw an ad on TV for Detroit, whatever it's called, yesterday.
It's a big release.
It was weird looking, though. The ad did not make it look good. The graphics were not good enough.
Really? I think the graphics are fine.
It just looked weird on the TV. They look like pod people.
Well, they are androids.
I know, okay. It was just weird. I was, out to dinner at, a sports bar with people, and it was like, what is this? And then it was Detroit, whatever.
Become Human.
Become Human. I knew it was something that was, grammatically not right. Detroit Become...
Well, I think it has a colon. Detroit, Become Human.
That's even weirder. And a little bit of it, Detroit should feel a little attacked.
He seemed to have just randomly picked Detroit. I don't know.
Did he just use, a word generator?
No, I mean, it's relevant. It's set in Detroit.
We'll save it for the side quest. We'll be talking about what we've been playing, whether or not we think something or not will happen or be good, or some question in our weather report. We'll have our question of the bye week.
And we'll be getting off topic, just like we just did.
Because that's what you tune in to Talk This for. The ways we don't actually talk about the games we say we're going to talk about. And when we do, we do it in a way that is incomprehensible to anyone without 10 plus years experience with said game. I'm ready to give the send-off this week.
Okay.
Alright, folks, this week, remember, no matter what anybody tells you, the cup is yours!